Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Strong with Dr. Michael G. Daniels. This is your host, C.B. Baker. We had one topic, everybody, that we was going to talk about, but national news took over. Fort Worth, Texas. A young lady playing with her nephew gets shot through a window by a police officer and killed. And it's now becoming like almost normal. Yeah. And that's the real sad part about it. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Daniels, you came to me, text me earlier today about, did you hear what the police chief said? And I didn't hear it until you just recently just told me. And I'm sitting here like, really? And now, before we get into it, it's really a shame that in 2019, about to be 2020, mm-hmm. I didn't live through the 60s. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to feel like it's the 60s. But I did live through the early 90s when it got kind of rough. Mm-hmm. So when we can talk about that, why is everything seem like it's coming in waves, or in is the waves making it better, But Dr. Daniels, let me hear your perspective of why the law enforcement and the people who enforce the law, the district attorneys and things like that, feel the way they feel about certain situations like this when someone innocent is shot by the police.
Well, let me just preface my statement with this. Because we originally were going to talk about, Black America and where we are, those kind of things. And I think this kind of ties into that a little bit. And I'll tell you why. Because they're really it seems to be, for some people, there are two Black Americas. And that's a sad. There are two Black Americas. There's a Black America that the media has portrayed, and that, movies and sitcoms portray. And then there's the real Black America that we live in. And I'm saying that because a part of that goes into the psyche of police officers and their training and all this kind of thing. I am so sick and tired of hearing policemen say to me that we need to understand their peril, that we need to understand what they go through, the fears that they have getting on the job. If you are afraid of your job, leave.
Right.
If every time you put on your uniform, it strikes fear in your heart, then you're in the wrong profession.
Right.
It's just that simple. When I was in college, I was a correctional officer. Okay. Now, I will admit, when I first went there, I was 20 years old. When I first went there, I'm in there with people who have been convicted of their crimes. A correctional officer carries no weapon. Okay. The ratio is approximately about 1 to 70 as far as correctional officers to inmates. Originally, I had fear until I went through the training.
Right.
Once I went through the training, I lost my fear, but I gained my respect. And so I had a healthy respect for my job, for those who I was put in there to provide security, safety for. And so it changed the whole dynamic. Mm-hmm. Now, I say that to say this, is that oftentimes, like I say, when I go to these meetings with people in law enforcement, I've met with district attorneys, I've met with judges, I hear the same dynamic, that we need to understand what they go through, understand the officers, understand their fears. Every time a Black person gets shot, here is what you get. I feared for my life.
Right.
That's the standard, right?
Right.
I fear for my life. And that means it's okay to shoot the Black person. The question is, why do you always fear for your life when it's a Black man?
Right.
Or a Black female? What makes us so fearful to you when we have done nothing to you?
Right.
Now, I'm watching television yesterday, and I don't want to monopolize all of our time.
Right.
I'm watching television yesterday, and I'm watching the police channel. And they go to a rural area to address a problem, and there's a white person that owns the property. Now, this is on TV, on the police, on the bad boys, right kind of thing. This gentleman comes out of his house with a gun and says to the police, "Get off my property. You have no right to be here."
Right.
Okay? They say, "Put the gun down." He says, "I have a right to carry my gun." I live in America. The amendment to the Constitution allows me to carry a gun. Get off my property.
Right.
You know what they did?
Left.
They left. They left. Okay.
And let that be me or you doing that.
The black man wouldn't have had to have had a gun. He could have reached for a cell phone and he would have got shot.
Right.
See, but they didn't say they feared the white man. Okay. They just left and backed off the property and talked to him from the street. And he said, you don't have a warrant, don't come on my property again.
Right.
And they left. Okay. I'm infuriated. I really am by the way we are treated in this country. I'm infuriated that white people always say they fear us. When it isn't us that do all the killing.
Right.
They do more killing than we will ever do.
Right.
They take more land from other folk. They have a history of taking things from people because they believe they have a right to do so. So, again, when we talk about the police chief, I understand the police chief's dilemma, but I was appalled at how he reacted to the situation. Okay, Now here's why I say that. I am pleased that they arrested that officer for murder. I'm pleased at the speed at which they did it. But here's what that police chief said. And he doesn't even understand that what he said is and how he said it, why some of us may be a little upset with him. He said that his police force now was demoralized because of one bad officer. He said that they were going through a sense of depression within their police community and that they were trying to support one another. He said that he equated it to a group of ants that are working hard to build an anthill. He said, we've worked hard to rebuild the relationship with our communities. He said, and this is like those ants building an anthill and someone takes a water hose and destroys all the progress that they have made. And then he got choked up and began to cry and said, I'm not taking any more questions, and I'm walking. He walked off. And I thought to myself, you're choked up and crying because your police officers feel like they've lost a relationship. But you didn't cry when you said the woman was shot. To me, the thing that should have brought tears to your eyes was the fact that this innocent woman who was in her own home was shot and killed. And what they tried to do initially was make her out to be a bad person. Because the first thing they said was, we found a gun in her room.
Right. Where she's allowed to have.
But not only that, let's be for real. What state is this in?
Texas. Everybody got a gun in
Everybody got a gun in Texas.
Right.
Everybody. So to say that she has a gun in where she is legal to have a gun, right? It's like they want to always make it out to be that we are justified. She was a bad person. But you didn't know she had a gun till you went on the inside. So you can't say she had a gun, that's why you shot. Right. Because it went like this. Put your hands up, pow. Right. Right? You didn't know she had a gun. So, but I'm just saying that infuriates me. And I got to tell you, I'm just so sick and tired of hearing it. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's gotten really bad. And part of it is I like to somewhat equate things to, if you focus on things on what not to do so much that you accidentally end up doing it. And not to say it's on the same level, but it's the same type of concept. When I was a kid, we had a deal in elementary school where you had to turn your homework in every day. If you turned in, you got to have this massive free day. It was like field day, but it was for everybody to turn their homework in. The last day, I forgot to turn my homework in. I had to go to detention. But I had spent the entire year focused on not turning in my homework. Sure. I'm wondering, I've never sat in the police meeting, and I'm wondering if them telling people, like, make sure you don't shoot anybody. And then, like, all of a sudden you're doing it. Like, why are there literally countless videos of Black people or people of color being pulled over, stopped, and a gun is drawn? Like, literally, why are you doing this? why is it automatically the gun is already out? For me, it seems like, Pastor Dan, that the root, number one problem is this. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to lose a lot of people with this one. The police should not have guns.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't in England.
Right. Okay, so I believe that if you limit the number of guns that's on police officers, a lot of this would subside. Mm-hmm. So, and I know when me making that statement, people who have police officers are in family will definitely disagree with me on that. And I understand why.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you go to a concert, right? Mm-hmm. And the event staff is there to tell you, get back in your seat. Does he have a gun? No. But now, what if you was to get an argument with the person that was an event staff and say he's an off-duty police officer and still don't have a gun, but he now has a gun? What's liable to happen?
You're gonna get killed. And I say this too. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I understand. The police say they want a gun because everyone else has guns.
Right.
So you kind of have to take guns away if you want to. From everybody, if you want the police not to have a gun. But here's the thing I look at too. The responsibility of your actions should rest with you. Like you said, well, why is it that they always feel like shooting black folk? Are they told not to shoot black folk? I don't think so. See, I don't think any training says don't shoot a black person.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I think training helps them to think that a black person should be shot. Mm. Now, I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because the media, the entertainment industry, and I don't mean just the rappers, because the rappers are not responsible for this. I mean television and movies have demonized black folk. Mm-hmm. Okay? They've demonized black folk. The training demonizes black folk. And I'll tell you why, because I have been in a training session. One of the training sessions, for example, dealt with police biases. Now, the trainer of the session, there were two trainers. One was an ex-police chief who happened to be black. One was a white female who was a social psychologist. Mm-hmm. All right? Now, here's what she said. Statistics show that more crime is committed by blacks. And I said, that's not true.
Wow.
And she said, yes, it is true. I said, that's not true. She said, Mr. Daniels, unfortunately, you don't know all the facts. I said, yes, I do. But you are the one that's in error in your ways. I said to her, have you ever heard people say this, force the figures to confess? She said, no. I said, because you don't know all the facts.
Right.
I said, because I was a finance major. See, I get it. When people hear me and they think, well, Dr. Daniels, you know what they think? All he knows is the Bible.
Right.
Okay. Little did she know my background.
Right.
So I said to her, let me explain to you in simple terms. Where do you get your statistics from? And she said, based on reported crime. I said, thank you. All you're telling me is that the reported crimes say that more blacks commit crimes. Mm-hmm. All you're telling me is that more blacks get convicted than whites. That don't mean white people don't commit crimes.
Right.
That just means they don't get convicted of crimes. Because the statistics that she is quoting are based on conviction rates.
Right.
Because if you're found innocent, they don't say you committed a crime.
Right.
And we both know that white people don't get convicted at the same rate as black people do.
That's correct.
We know that. That's a fact.
Right.
We also know that black people have been stereotyped. We also know that the police force historically was used to keep black folk in check.
Right.
We also know that blacks have been used as free labor in our history, through that incarceration system. So to say that we commit more crimes is a fallacy, but it's one that's been embedded in the brains of many police officers, because when they're studying, they get that kind of information from people. So therefore, when they go into a black community, a concept is that blacks commit more crime. Now, let's face the reality. I'm not a member of the NRA,
right,
but I'm a gun owner. However, here's what I know. Statistics suggest that the majority of the NRA is not black, it's white.
That's correct.
Statistics show that there are more white gun owners than black gun owners. Mm-hmm. So why are you afraid of black folk having guns
Right.
and not white folk having guns? Because statistically speaking, you are more apt to pull over a white man with a gun than a black man with a gun. But if you pull over a white man, you're not afraid.
Right.
You pull over a black man, you watch the way a police officer walks up to the car when they pull a black person over. What he does is he unsnaps the gun and puts his hand on the gun as he walks to the car. Once he gets to the car and sees what's going on, then he may take his hand down. And you watch him when he walks to the car if it's a white person. Mm-hmm. Just watch TV and watch these cop shows and watch how they walk to the car and you'll see the difference.
Right. I don't know what the solution is. And that is the biggest thing that we, kind of like what Jay-Z was saying, we got to get to some actions. Like, what are we going to do about it? Right. And I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about America.
The system.
Right. What are we going to do about it? And when I understand, it's a lot to take in, but it's like how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So literally just pick one thing and work on it, finish it off, go to the next. Like, you ain't gotta, the system is so jacked up that you can literally start at any point and it'll be a great improvement if you fix it.
Well, and some things are simple. Like, number one, you can't police yourself. See, that's the bottom line. There is no other department that has that latitude to police themselves other than the police department.
Yeah.
You know, how can you determine if a shooting was justified when you are policing the person that you supervise?
Yeah.
That's asinine. It should always be an independent party policing, number one, the policeman. Because just because you're a policeman don't mean you don't lie. It don't mean you don't cheat. Don't mean you don't steal.
Right.
And this idea of people saying, well, police don't lie. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Just because you're a policeman, it does not make you inhuman. It does not make you unlike any other person in this community, in this world. You know, here's the deal. We will assume a lawyer will lie, but we won't assume a policeman will lie.
Right.
Why? You know,
Right.
That defies logic to think that way. It defies logic to assume that all police officers are not biased, as if there are no racist police officers. Bottom line. So if we don't hold people accountable, then they will keep doing what they're doing. That's one thing. The other thing I'll say is this: when I say there are two Black Americas, a part of it is that the majority see us based on a non-reality. You know, they really do. If you get pulled over, you better believe you are probably 75% more likely to get shot than I am.
Right.
Even though I'm, 80% more likely to get shot than my white counterpart.
Right.
Because they're going to see you and they're going to be immediately, I was afraid for my life.
Right.
You mess around and reach for your eyeglasses, you're going to get shot.
Right.
I got to reach for my cell phone.
Right.
Okay. So I'm just saying that dynamic to me is crazy. So then how do you train people? Here's the deal. I was talking with a city councilman 2 weeks ago. We were at a function together. And he was telling me how he thought that perhaps the answer would be to have a course in high schools so that young Black men would understand how to respond to police and so forth and so on. And I said to him, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why do you mean, Pastor Daniels? I said, there's not a Black man that gets paid for being Black. I don't get paid to be Black. So why should you train me how to be Black? Right. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Police officers are paid. If anybody's going to get more training, they should get more training because they're getting paid to do a job. So their performance should be dealt with in that standard. The training needs to take place with them, not with us. Right. I shouldn't have to train a young boy to put his hand on the steering wheel. Right. I should train a police officer to treat him based on who he is, right, and not who you think he is. Right. Because they don't train white boys.
Yeah. No, they don't. Another thing too, I think we need the people who are doing the policing need to stay in the community. Police the community they live in. Mm-hmm. Because you're less apt to do something crazy if you know that is Sister Mary's son, Johnny.
Right.
I see him doing something crazy that he shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. When Johnny see you pull up, he knows you because he knows you since he was a little kid. So he's not going to do anything crazy back towards you.
Right.
We all know there's going to be some kids out there that are just going to veer off to the left. Sure. Let's discount those, move those to the side. I mean, if you're policing your own folks where you live at, that's number one. You shouldn't be a police officer in Virginia Beach, but you live in Newport News. And you have no idea what's going on in the community. You don't have a relationship with the people because unless you're out there getting groceries, and the people see you. So when you pull over that person with that random ticket, right, and you know they gave them a ticket, you gave them a ticket anyway. Now when you're at the grocery store and you get that dirty look, you feel it. Like, okay, yeah, I need to chill out.
Sure.
It's a system that works within itself if it's done right, the right way. Now, I purposely said in the same neighborhood. Now let's go all the way down to black and black. I've always said this, that how we should protest is all black men should get together, go down to the police station and fill out an application. I don't care if you want the job or not. I don't care if you got a felony or not. Guess what they got to do with their application? They have literally got to file all those applications.
They got to process them.
They got to process them, and it's going to go on their books that all these African-American people, so they got to accept somebody, or what they going to have on the record?
Well, and they will. And I'll say this. I happen to know that, I don't know if you're like younger than I am, but there was a federal investigation, for example, for the city of Virginia Beach, where they ruled, it's been some time ago, that their hiring practices were discriminatory. So they have consciously tried to hire more blacks. But the issue, and I echo a sentiment that I heard on the D.L. Hughley show. If you hire a black who becomes white, you have defeated the purpose.
Yeah.
So and that's what happens sometimes, is that you may hire a black person, but that black person understands, if I'm going to progress upwardly, I have to act like my white counterparts act. I have to play that same role with them. And I'm not saying that they should not follow the letter of the law. They should. But they should also understand the latitudes that they have and act accordingly based on those latitudes. And I'll say this too, it's not just the police, because the police don't make the decision to prosecute.
Right.
Yeah. They don't. That's the district attorney's office that makes that decision. And it's the judges, that make those decisions. Think about this for a second now. You take the judge, the young man, for example, that was in his room, in his own home, watching TV, eating ice cream.
Right.
Police officer comes in and has several warnings that that's not my house, right? But she shoots him anyway. And her excuse is, I thought I was at my apartment.
Right.
Okay, now let's say it was your apartment. If the man is sitting there and doesn't have a gun in his hand, why are you shooting him?
Right.
I mean, even if he had broke in, why do you kill someone just because they committed a burglary? See, that doesn't make sense either. But it's the standard thing. I feared for my life.
Right.
Okay, now, he gets 10 years. The judge has the audacity to come off the bench, hug her, and give her a Bible. And her response was, because I felt like she was really sorry for what she had done. Now, I asked myself a simple question. How many black folk have she come off the bench for?
Right.
And hugged and gave a Bible?
Right.
And I'll be willing to bet my house that the answer is 0.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that I'm saying about this whole makeup. See, even black folk have been brainwashed once they get those positions, to digest that paradigm that black people somehow are evil, that black people somehow are not worthy of being treated equal. You know, that white female police officer, what she felt bad about was being convicted. Now, you know how we know this? If you really have contrition, you know what you'll say? I'm guilty. See, if you really have contrition, you take responsibility. You say, you know what? I'm guilty. I shouldn't have shot him. I made an honest mistake. You don't go in and plead innocent. You plead guilty.
Right.
And you just say, can we plea bargain? Can you let me plead guilty to manslaughter and let's move on?
Right.
But she said, I'm innocent, which says what? I'm not upset that I shot him. I'm upset that you convicted me or you got me being persecuted me. So, but I know a whole lot of black folk that committed crime and are genuinely sorry they committed it.
Yeah. You know, the ironic thing, everything you said is absolutely true. But when you say what you just said in front of the average white person, they won't get it. And I don't, it's like it's literally like, it's like the Matrix. It's like they're hooked to something, to this belief that nothing bad happens by them and everything is treated so fairly to other people, to everybody in the country. They just don't see it. It's like talking to a Trump supporter. They support him no matter what. And it's like, are you in reality right now?
Because they've been brainwashed. That's why I say there are two. There's the black community that we have been portrayed as, and then that's the real black community. Right. And go ahead.
What's funny? Another thing, when I was in Paris, there was a couple things that I learned in Paris and Dubai that was really weird. The things that I learned in those two foreign places. One foreign place was Dubai. You never saw a police officer. Never saw them. Asked the guys, where's the police at? They said they're undercover. You'll never know that they're there. I said, unless you really looking for them. And sure enough, once they told me, you could kind of, because they walk a little different.
You can't tell who security is.
Right.
Because they're the ones looking around.
Right. But no guns.
Right.
Okay? Paris. There was plenty of police, but the police officers did not have guns. The military did. And they was posted up around, because it was right after that time the guy went on the stabbing spree.
That's only because of the terrorism.
Right.
When you take that out of the equation, you wouldn't have saw police either.
And they're talking relaxed. Nobody's, Now, if you fly in to LaGuardia Airport in New York and you get off at the international, the military is there on guard. Like, what is it? Everybody around here trying to get to their stuff. You got your hand on the gun, you're in uniform, showing force, and then you're asking me, am I a Muslim when I get off the plane? No, you hear me talking. I know I'm not a Muslim.
And even if you are, so what?
Right. But here's the thing. They're asking the black people that.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I just came from Dubai. Now, it's brown people, it's mostly brown people that's Muslim, not black. Right. But you want to ask all the black people in line whether or not you're Muslim or not. I was just like, I just want to get on my plane.
And we'll go back.
And get home. But here's the thing that was real interesting about both those scenarios. When I did talk to black people that was from those areas, they couldn't wait to get to America, or they wanted to come to America. I said, why you want to come to America? I said, they're shooting us. He said, it's still not it said, I just want to come there for the opportunity.
Perceived opportunity.
Right, for perceived opportunity. And I was just sitting there like, wow. But over there, now I've heard other people say they encounter racism in certain parts of Europe. For me, when I went overseas, it was nowhere near as amount of racism I received here in the great Commonwealth of Virginia, just walking down the street sometimes.
Well, I can tell you this. Now, I've met plenty blacks from Canada. I've not heard of one say they would rather live in America.
Yeah.
Not a one. Because it's see, if you think about what blacks from other countries, not all countries, but when they look at us, what they're thinking about is Oprah. See, they're thinking about people like Shaquille O'Neal.
Right.
They're thinking about Jay-Z. They're thinking about those people that come over there who are famous. But because I say that's not the reality of Black America. And I'll give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. I'll go back to that black judge, for example. Okay, that scenario. Now, when you watch court TV and a black person has killed a white person and they call for the family to come up, here's how the family reacts. I need you to know that you destroyed our whole life. You killed my sister or you killed my mama. You didn't just kill them, you killed me too. They won't grow up to see this person. They won't grow up to see that person. They lay all that stuff out, okay? Mm-hmm. When this young boy addressed the court for his brother getting killed, he expressed sympathy for the white woman.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's what they did. 2 Black Americans. Even many of us have been brainwashed.
Yeah.
Into not seeing the reality of who we are.
Right.
When the white man killed all the folk down at the church in South Carolina. I mean, I ain't got a problem forgiving people, but the first thing they did was go and say, I love you, I forgive you, blah, 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 blah. When the last time we seen a black man kill somebody white, and they come out and that's the first thing they say is, I forgive you, I love you, and I don't even want you to have time. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard it. I'm not. If it has happened, I'm saying I've never heard it.
I've never heard it either.
Right. Now, and so, to me, here's the biggest example of being brainwashed by our country because of your surroundings. Kanye West. Mm-hmm. Okay? He's as black as both of us. Okay? Now, he married a white woman. That's fine. You got the right to marry who you want to marry. But you got to be a fool to say to yourself that during slavery time, black folk had a decision.
Yeah.
But that's his concept, that we had a decision, that we were weak for being in slavery. What was the decision our ancestors had? It's either be where you were or be dead.
Right.
Those people struggled. Those people built this country off their backs. Those people fought hard, and they did. It wasn't a decision that they didn't just say, well, yeah, I just want to be a slave.
Right.
He acted like slavery was okay. So
right.
I'm saying, when you have a black man that's saying his own ancestors were too weak to get out of slavery.
Right.
That's brainwashing to the highest degree.
Yeah. We could spend a whole hour and a half talking about Kanye. And me personally, I think Kanye's situation is he suffered from a mental illness and the medication. I equate him to, all I'm going to say is look at how Mike Tyson acted when he was fighting. Mm-hmm. Versus how he acts now.
Right.
And then if you watched later in his career, you could tell when he was on his meds and you tell when he was off his meds.
Right.
And a whole nother subject, but they also didn't do him right either by having him off his meds when he was fighting.
Sure, I agree.
All right, which is now it's a circus act. You're treating him like the freak show, and that's not right. Right. I could speak up for Mike Tyson on that aspect of things.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, because we're different generations. When you were growing up, how did you view your prospects as being a young black man?
Well, in elementary school, because I grew up in a white neighborhood, and outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And Nashville's quite liberal. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really see color, so to speak, until somebody else black came to the school. Mm-hmm. Then somebody would say, well, it's 2 of y'all. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, it's a black person. It's 2. But I'm like, well, my friends is white. I'm not thinking nothing. And as I moved, I didn't really grasp it until I moved to we moved to Kentucky and moved to an all black school. Mm-hmm. And then the way I talked, the way I acted, I got called Uncle Tom. I was like, where is this coming from? I was like, I'm with y'all. Mm-hmm. And But then I realized that, yeah, we are treated a lot different because it was also, even though we was a majority, it was white people in the school.
Mm-hmm.
The white people in school had money.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad also was well off,
Sure.
I was well off as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to be friends with them. It's like, no, you can't go over there and be friends with them. It's like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
So I went from, integrated, great, to no, that's not the right thing. Everywhere I moved, I moved from Kentucky to Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw both sides of the fence and the gradual, all the way even through college, from Oklahoma to Southern, seeing the differences. But I will say this, Dr. Daniels, the difference that I saw was in the mentality of Black people.
That's the question I'm asking you. That's the question I'm asking you. So what did you see different?
What I saw different was white people think of what can I have, and Black people think of what can I get? Like what am I going to get from them? Where white people can literally grow up thinking, when you hear the words, you could be anything you want to be. For white people, they truly believe it, and the doors is open for them for whatever they want to do. Where with Black people, it was like, oh, I can't do that. It's I can't. And you're like, well, yeah, you can. But this is me as a little kid thinking, not knowing about the glass ceiling that's put on Black folks. I'm living basically as a white person with the same type of belief system. And it's really that lid that we put on ourselves. And then
do we put it on ourselves, or has society put it on us?
Society has put it on us, and it's put it in our brain from day one.
Because think about who teaches us.
Yeah.
Most teachers Black or white?
White. Yeah.
Most politicians Black or white?
They're definitely white.
Right. Even when you go to college, most professors Black or white?
White.
Right. Here's why I threw it out at you. And what you said was right. Boom. I expected you to say that, but I think that's one of the things that permeates my brain and engenders a sense of hopelessness at times. Okay. Young Black boys, if you grew up in a Black community, you are taught to survive, not to succeed.
Right.
And that's a totally different dynamic.
Yes, it's completely different.
It's a totally different dynamic. And so you don't just get over that overnight. And it's the same thing. If I teach you to put your hands like this on a steering wheel, what I'm really teaching you to do is survive.
Right.
I'm teaching you to succeed. And that's a whole different dynamic. Think about how Black kids view sports for the most part. I mean, you were different, like you said. You were upper middle class.
Right.
But what is your impression of most of the guys that were playing football with you? What was their, why were they playing football?
Right, they get out of what the situation they was in.
Right, yeah.
Right.
See, their thing was what? Football is my way out.
Right.
For you, football wasn't your way out. You just did it because you liked playing football.
Right.
You knew if you didn't go to the pros, you still knew, you know what? I'm going to still be upper middle class.
Right.
But for the average young Black guy, if they don't make it through, they're going right back to poverty.
Right.
Because for us, it's about survival. For them, it's not about survival.
Yeah.
And I think that because of how, and it's not something that we put in our heads. It's the reality of where we come from and where our lives, it's just the reality.
Yeah.
That's what you have to teach your child is how to survive, especially now. I mean, if your son was 16 right now, I bet you'd be teaching your son how to not get shot by a policeman.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So, but see, the white family's they don't have to do that.
Yeah. And it's really a shame that you even got to do that. And now I never got to talk. But what I got from it was what my white friends did. And I did what they did. I talked. Now, if there was ever one thing that I could tell somebody Black to stop doing, is stop immediately being agitated when you get pulled over. This is what I do every time I get pulled over. How can I help you? I'm completely calm. I'm talking to a person. Mm-hmm. So when I remove the uniform from them, I'm talking to a person. I take the fear for myself out and I'm talking to a person. It was one time I did this. I was in North Carolina. I got pulled over by a state trooper. And I was clearly speeding. You know, I was speeding. So the guy was like, well, you got to show up in court. I said, well, I don't live around here. You know, could I just pay the ticket? And he said, no, you go. He's being black cop. Like, you're being nasty with me.
So he won't be in black.
So
he was being what I said earlier.
Right.
Just because you're a black cop.
But here's what was crazy. I had to defuse him. I said, excuse me, sir. I don't live around here. Where is the courthouse at so I can know my general bearings if I got to come back here? He immediately, his whole demeanor changed. He relaxed. Oh, okay. Let me show you where you go around here. I was like, well,
but should you have to do that? That's my point.
No.
See, that's my point. You don't get paid to be a citizen.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. You don't get paid to be a citizen. He gets paid.
Yeah.
And he's paid by you. So if he's paid by you, shouldn't he treat you with respect?
Yes.
So just because I'm black, should I have to talk to him differently than a white person talk to him?
No. I agree. Now, all I'm saying is I treat the person, I talk to the person and not the uniform.
No, I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't work.
Right.
I'm agreeing with you. It does work. I'm saying it's sad.
That you got to do that.
That we have to teach our children how to survive.
Yeah.
That's not what they teach their children to do. Their children don't survive. Their children thrive.
What's funny is white people talk pure trash to the police.
That's my point. They talk junk.
Right.
Why you pull me?
Right.
Why I got to get out the car?
Right.
Why, all this kind of stuff. The average black person don't just come off boom. Number one, as soon as the lights go on, we nervous.
Right.
We were nervous anyway.
Right.
Then you pull us over, we ain't talking junk. That ain't our normal protocol. Remember the young man, and I don't remember his name, but his girlfriend was in the car and she had it on her phone when and the policeman shot him.
Right.
And he told the policeman, I got a gun.
Right.
I tell you I got a gun. That right there should tell you right there what? I ain't getting ready to shoot. I'm not trying to shoot you because I told you I had a gun.
Right.
And he shot him and killed him anyway.
Right.
And the girl in the car screaming, why'd you kill him? Why'd you kill him? See, I guess my point is that why should we have to? Because he tried to defuse it. He was calm. Right. She tried to defuse it and he's still dead today.
Right.
He did nothing wrong. This woman that got shot in her home did nothing wrong. Right? The man said, put your hands up. She looked out the window, put your hands up, boom. He didn't give her a chance to do anything. He just killed her. I've been pulled by both white and black, and I can tell you, I've had different experiences with, both times. I've been pulled by a white man that act like I wasn't intelligent enough to know anything, and he pulled me from. I don't know if you've ever been pulled just for what we call DWB.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, right. Now I've been pulled for those who don't know, I'm sure you all know driving while black, right?
Right.
I've been pulled for driving while black, and I got to tell you, when you get pulled for driving while black, their expectation of you is not to ask why you pulled me.
Yeah.
But I have a right. That's the thing. I have a constitutional right. Why should I give up my civil rights just because you're a policeman?
Right.
I have a right to say to you, excuse me, sir, why did you pull me over?
Right.
What have I done? You got a tail light out. How am I going to know I got a tail light out unless you tell me?
Right.
See, you're supposed to let me know. I got a constitutional right. No, excuse me, sir. I pulled you because of X, Y, Z. And then if you tell me that up front, now we calm. But that should be your job, not my job.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, so we didn't...
we didn't solve it.
We ain't solved the problem. But we do have some solutions that's out there that, hopefully people can do. But you know what, Pastor Daniels, at this point, I will say a prayer for one miracle. For this to turn around,
sure,
it needs an act of God. at this. I feel like at this point, it needs an act of God to be able to pull it, to turn the whole thing around to where it, like, people's minds can just wake up and say, oh, you know what? Whoa, we didn't, like, okay, we get it.
Hardly. Yeah.
You know, we get it now. And I don't know, maybe he'll tell us in the vision that we need to get like Moses and tell everybody to go to Atlanta. Where everybody seems to be going anyway.
I agree. And I'll say this. I am in prayer for the family of that young woman that got killed. I think all of us should be in prayer for that family. But I'm also in prayer for that police chief as well, because I understand he doesn't understand.
Right.
I understand that. So I'm praying for him and for the entire police force that they will somehow use this as a learning tool so they can become better aware. But I'm also praying that my local police chiefs will use that as a learning experience and try to do more than just say we should understand them, but really seek to understand us. And when they say they're going to have community policing, have true community policing where you get to know the community.
Right.
Not that you're just walking around, but you get to know the community, that you go and knock on the door of the local, whether it be a synagogue or whether it be, a church, talk to the people that are in there, talk to the pastor, go to the school that's in that community, talk to the children, get to, like, as you said earlier, I mean, your point was just right on. Get to know the community. Even if I can't, and I get it, I can't make you live in the community. I understand that, because if I got a nice home in a nice suburb, I might not want to live in, in that neighborhood. But you can require my performance for me to become familiar with the neighborhood, so they know me and I know them. And it's more than just, I'm walking around scared all the time.
Right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Daniels, and thank you all for listening. This is your host, CB Baker. Till next time.